Hurricane Helene making its way toward Florida this evening, but we need to be alert and stay weather aware here in the Carolinas, especially over the next 24 to 36 hours. Rain starts to arrive in our area tonight. The worst for us really overnight and into the morning hours on Friday. Be ready for heavy rain, gusty winds, maybe up to 50 miles per hour, which could topple some trees and cause some scattered power outages. We'll also have to keep an eye on a tornado risk for Friday morning too, but it gets better. It moves out by lunchtime. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Make your work easier with Eagle Rentals of Troutman and Statesville. Eagle Rentals has generators, heaters, fans, painting equipment, floor care equipment, pressure washers, lighting equipment, and lawn care equipment. Plus, Eagle Rentals has construction equipment like forklifts, bobcat loaders, backhoes, excavators, and more. Reserve online at eaglerentals.com. That's eaglerentals.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Welcome, welcome. It is a great day to be with you. Might be a little wet outside, but we're all happy and dry in here. Got a great show lined up for you today.
Absolutely. Man, I'm a little worried. All that rain coming down. We're supposed to be flying out of here I'm supposed to fly out at night, but you're supposed to go tomorrow, right?
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of problem with uplift for the plane to take off. I think it's just a matter of whether we're floating down the runway or whether we're rolling down the runway.
I just hope there's not a hole in the airplane. I might drown,
Yeah. Another great project happening right now in Duncanville, Texas. For a great American, Mr. Jones. Happy to be serving him, and people will be able to watch that show on Military Makeover coming up here in just a few weeks.
Absolutely. And this fella here, he's a Vietnam veteran, and those guys, they just didn't get a proper welcome home. So this is going to be a wonderful welcome home from the community of Duncanville. And hey, catch it on Lifetime TV, and you can even get to see John Gallina. They won't let me on the TV.
We'll let you on there, Devin.
I think I was in the credits as fat guy leaving the room on one of the episodes. But
I think they're having you stand on the side because it's helping reflect the light onto the hose. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry, Dan. We got to be on our best behavior today. A Marine and an Army guy in here with Air Force over here. We got to be careful.
Right.
Gotta be on the best behavior.
They might call in them airstrikes on us, right?
Yeah. We've got a lot of great events happening. Most recently, we just completed yet another wonderful project with Fifth Street Ministries, where we set 4 more of our veteran tiny houses, bringing us to a total of 6 tiny houses for our project that we started off there about 9 years ago with Fifth Street Ministries.
Wow,
Yeah, just to give a little history with that for those listeners that may not be aware. One of our good friends, the late Pete Miletus, started an organization for veterans called Piedmont Veterans Assistance Council. Make sure I get that right. There's so many of these great charities out there.
And so with John stumbling over that, I just want to point out he was actually on the board and he can't remember the acronym.
Well, I had Patriot Military Family Foundation rolling through my head. We got a dinner event coming up with them just here in a couple of days, and I want to make sure I got the right one. But Devin, now you're on the board, so tell us a little bit about PVAC. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
So PVAC is a wonderful organization started right here by Pete Miletus, as John said, a Marine who was in the Battle of the
Chosin
Reservoir. Yeah, the Frozen Chosin, as they called it.
3 Purple Hearts.
Yes, I mean, can you imagine? He got hit. He went back and he got hit again. He said, "Let me get it one more time." That's pretty amazing. But when he came back with a spirit of brotherhood, and he saw his brothers and sisters on the streets, and he just wanted to address homelessness in our area. And so that's how PVAC started out, but they've expanded their mission now. We've got a great feeding program, and primary mission now is transporting veterans from their homes to their VA appointments, which, by the way, we are in need of a handicap accessible van for our veterans to get into a wheelchair into the van so they can get to the VA appointments. If you know anybody that's got one to give, or you got a heart to give, PVAC could certainly use your assistance.
And just, Purple Heart Homes is really proud to partner with organizations like PVAC and just so many great Americans there and veterans that are providing support here in our community. And, I don't want to leave out Leon Imes, another Vietnam veteran that helped start that organization. David Presley, another great veteran here in our community, not only supporting PVAC, but David was the president of the Home Builders Association when Dale Beatty's house was spearheaded and built by the state's or Iredell County Home Builders Association. And in the process, David and Pete and Leon, came to us and asked Purple Heart Homes to help partner to provide housing support for the homeless veteran population here in Iredell County. And we immediately went to Fifth Street Ministries. Fifth Street agreed to be the program manager of that. And we ended up partnering with the Statesville Housing Authority.
Wow.
Built a transition house in partnership with the Housing Authority, and then provided more of the independent living through Purple Heart Homes Tiny House program. And so we say all this because we got a special guest in here today. We already said she's Air Force, so everybody should know she's smarter than me and Devin. So so we're gonna go ahead and make that introduction. But in studio with us today we have Culeen Shaffer. Did I say that right?
You did.
Yep. And so thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for your service and the work that you're now doing. And so we're glad to have you.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start with kind of where you're from and what led you to joining the military.
When I was in high school, I always loved planes, and I had gotten some information from a recruiter. It had disappeared, though. Thinking my mom threw it in the trash. So I went away to college. I made a poor decision in what school I went to. It was a private school, and I was hurting to stay in, and I heard a Air Reserve commercial on the radio, and I'm like, oh, there's that guard base down the road. Let me call. And I was going for undergrad with graphic design. Called up the recruiter. He's like, I'll come to your school the next day. We sit, we talk. He's like, how would you like to do graphic design in the Air Force? And I'm like, what? You can do that? So that's what started my military career.
Wait a minute. Graphic design in the Air Force, is that where they paint those pretty little pictures on the side of planes? Is that what you're doing there?
I have not done that.
Oh, man.
At the time that I started graphic design, there wasn't really a whole lot that I was doing graphic design-wise. When I changed bases then, because I joined the Air National Guard. I graduated college and then moved. I was going to move to Virginia Beach, and then I went to a unit, and they didn't have graphic design, so I did photography. And when I was at the photography school, 9/11 had happened. And shortly after that, because I graduated the next day, I was mobilized. So I stuck with the photography part of my military career for 14 years. I did photography,
Wow.
photojournalism.
Not a long time at all.
No, not a long time.
Now,
I don't even know if I did my math right.
Is this like high altitude reconnaissance photography, or is this on the ground, like taking pictures of units and training?
A little of both, mostly on the ground. I was able to go to many different places because of it. But my opportunity was with the Army to actually be able to fly from the ground or take photos from the air with a counter-drug unit.
Wow, that is a counter-drug unit?
Yes, the Pennsylvania Joint Task Force.
I think we'd probably like to hear a little bit more about that, but unfortunately, we're coming up on a break. So for all of you listening out there, we're going to be talking a little bit more with Culeen. I always say Colleen. I'm just saying it wrong, aren't
Culeen.
I? Culeen. I'm terrible about that. Culeen is going to tell us more about her military career and what she's doing with Fifth Street Ministries. You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together.
Putting the Pieces Back Together will be back with more of John Gallina and Brad Borders after these messages from 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Hurricane Helene making its way toward Florida.
So, yeah, we've gotten for on the Facebook comments. See, they are saying I need a hat because the glare is affecting the cameras. When I was on the set of Military Makeover, they did actually powder my head. Yeah, that was good times.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great. You know, it's it really is kind of cool to see, and you know, the production aspect of the TV show and how fast they can bring together a project. You know, one of the unique things about these military makeover projects is they really do happen, all the construction, everything, in about 10 to 11 days.
And
so the before to the after, and everything that happens within that filming schedule of less than 2 weeks. Every project.
Wow. I should have packed my blender because every time I'm there for a
you want to have margaritas
reveal.
while you're on the set?
No, I make fresh homemade mojitos the last night for Jen and her sister, so that
because normally they're there for like 24 hours straight that last night.
Yeah, so like the other hosts, they go home. Art and Montel, great people, but when their part's done, they go back and go to the hotel room and hang out. But Jen and her sister and her volunteers, man, they're in there until the midnight hour. So
now you're of course making those with Southern Distilling spirits, right?
I make a mean old fashioned with Southern Distilling spirits.
That's right.
But which, by the way, if I have any brown drink there, that is the double rye is always my mixer, and it should be your mixer too, because Purple Heart Homes gets 50% of the proceeds of every bottle sold. I don't know if y'all know that.
Not know that.
Yeah.
I don't like rye though, so I can't help you out.
Oh man. Well, if you
all right, let's find another guest.
All right, bye.
She's out.
Lynn's in the parking lot. We can
Just throw a wig on him real quick.
Yeah. I think they got the white lightning, or what's it called?
They have some type of white liquor.
Not
sure exactly
Pete said he was going to come on here. We'll have him tell us.
Yep, I think that'd be fantastic.
Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Putting the Pieces Back Together continues now. Here are your hosts, John Gallina and Brad Borders, on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together with your host, John Gallina, and me, Devil Dog Devin. And we've got a great guest here for you.
Wait a minute.
What's that?
We got to clear up something that's obvious here to our viewers. There's an empty seat, and I'm not sure what's up. What's the empty seat about?
The empty seat? I haven't noticed that. That is odd. There. Oh,
what did you do with your partner in crime?
Oh, Brad.
Yeah. He's at the courthouse trying to stay out of jail. That's right.
I was trying to dance around that subject, but you just go right into it.
Go for the jugular. Yeah, that's it. That's what they teach us in the Army. Go for the jugular.
He said he was at the Veterans Treatment Court. I didn't want to ask any questions.
He's getting treated.
How poorly is he being treated? Is he being treated well, or
Apparently he's being treated badly right now.
They've not released him, done the work release, right? No work release for Brad today.
Well, they do take your history into account, and Do
you think he'd be upset if I took his C4 energy? I mean, it is still cold.
It is still cold. I mean,
I
don't think he'll even notice.
All right, I want to go back to this high altitude reconnaissance photography. Is that really a thing in the Air Force?
What?
It was it was a joint task force for Army and Air together, and we had an aviation crew. And the flight I got to go on, we had to go over an area to look for this disturbed ground where there were drugs and activity supposedly happening. So my job was to photograph the area. Small little plane, wintertime. I asked for the doors to be off. They put them on. So it was a little warm at the same time, and they forgot to put the barf bags on also. So I can't say my first helicopter ride was pleasant either, but I got the job done. Because to find this spot, we're in a wooded area, and we're just going circles and circles, and then you bring the camera up to your eye, and you're just like, all right, I'm not ready for Photoshop.
Get a little woozy.
You get a little woozy after a couple circles, and I think it was a OH-58 if I remember, or the 47. I can't remember, but small little helicopter.
Wow, that's really, what a great story. I mean, I would imagine this is not what you really thought of when you joined the service, right? You kind of had a different view of what you were going to be doing.
Yeah, I really, like I said, I joined as a graphic designer because I loved art growing up. And, well, unless I was going to be Van Gogh and cut off my ear to become famous, I had to do something that would make money and decided to do graphic design, which was probably the best decision because it did lead me to the military. So with the photography and becoming public affairs, I loved interacting because you got to tell everyone's story. I would write stories, take photos. They got comfortable once you saw them. You saw so much of what the Air Force did that I saw our security forces a lot, and just like taking care of people. So I'm like, I want to be a first sergeant one day, and that's the squadron I want to be a first sergeant for.
So you were saying that you got to tell everyone's story. So public affairs in the Air Force is essentially just like you're the press, right?
Pretty much, yeah. You tell a story to the internal audience, your airmen, but also to the external audience. I've actually photographed 3 presidents at our base too.
No kidding.
Yes.
Now, did you get to keep copies of these photographs?
I do have some copies. I'm not big on selfies, but I did one with my camera strapped to me with Air Force One in the background also.
That's cool.
The one photo, Bush was late, and so my photos didn't turn out great because the sun was starting to go down. But I still took a photo of them.
Now, what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite photo that you took that kind of epitomizes service or pride in service or something of that nature?
I don't think I do, because just everything I've ever gotten to photograph, whether it was our medical squadron in Hawaii doing a Hearts and Minds, where they just went out to the poorer communities and provided aid, to a boring trip at Fort Drum where there was nothing to do, but they were doing construction type work. It was just who I was around helped make the job. So I can't really think of anything in particular, other than we did have a child who somehow got connected and wanted a tour of the base and got to go on fire truck and be on the airplane because he was very, very ill. So just seeing how the airmen on the base just gathered together to make a special day for him, maybe that would be one of my favorite moments of my job.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that was a powerful moment, but you said what really was that you enjoyed was the people around you. And you said that you were talking earlier about that's what made you want to be a first sergeant one day.
Correct. It's just, I just have this need to serve people. And so while I joined the military initially to help for school, I stayed because of the people and wanting to serve my country and those that I worked alongside of. And fortunately, even though I never deployed, I was on mobilization orders, and that got me my post 9/11 GI Bill. So I was able to get a master's in public policy with a nonprofit concentration so that once I retired, I could continue to find ways to serve.
Now, so how long have you been out of the service now?
I retired February of 21.
Oh, okay, so relatively recently. Now, did you work somewhere else before Fifth Street, or is this your first civilian job?
I actually I was a contractor at my base for the Yellow Ribbon program for those about to deploy, and then when they got back for the reintegration. And then after that, I worked for a Communities That Cares coalition as my internship for school. It was a grant-funded position. And then I went to another nonprofit that I thought I was going to be there for a while until my fiance got a job offer in North Carolina. So he's like, hey, what do you think? And I'm like, our 5-year plan, you want to be a 5-month plan?
A little bit of an accelerated timeline there, huh?
Sounds like one of John's plans.
You're no kidding, right?
But I'm like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Go for it. So after 6 months, I actually applied for an accounting position at Purple Heart Homes first, even though I really can't count past my number in my hands.
I was going to feel bad, but now I'm not so sure.
It was just to get
Wasn't
on
sure
your
where
radar.
that was going.
Yeah, no kidding. And John Gallina personally vetoed my employment.
Just for the record, I don't review or hire anybody.
No, I actually I was like, I am not a fit for this position, but I want you to know I exist. But how I actually found out about you guys is I was down here, no family, no friends, no church yet, no work. And Richard's Coffee Shop is how I found out about Purple Heart Homes, the place that made me feel at home because I was surrounded by brothers and sisters.
What
They're
a wonderful
great,
place.
Great organization. Yeah, I was going back to Military Makeover. I was so thrilled that we were able to film there for the Military Makeover this this last episode. And
really cool.
That was neat, and just seeing the Ben and his son out fishing and catching that monster bass, and
I got to see that live. I mean, it was a really big fish.
It was. There's no camera effects on that.
No, there's not like a guy in the bushes hooking the fish or anything. He actually caught that thing.
Yeah. So you went down to Richards and you learned about the community and the vets and naturally Purple Heart Homes. What led you to Fifth Street?
In my job searching, I saw the job and I was looking at their programs and I saw that they had the Veterans Transitional Housing Program. And I was like, that's it. Because most of my schoolwork, I focused on veterans experience in homelessness. All my papers, all my focus was that. So then to find a position that had that as one of the 4 programs, I was like, all right, I'm going to apply. And then to find out shortly after we were getting 4 of your homes, like it was just, I was led there. That's why it took 6 months.
Well, we got just about a minute and a half before our next break, but I want to touch on your school in there about studying homelessness. What do you find to be the biggest challenge for veterans that have experienced homelessness?
The lack of access to mental health, or a combination, just pride to get help.
I've always thought it's kind of hard, once what I've read and studied myself is after about 45 days, you kind of lose the life skills that are necessary to function on your own. And that's a part of why I think Fifth Street's program is so important, right? It's that they're almost have to retrain those life skills and, how to grocery shop, how to cook for yourself, how to, just do some basics in home maintenance.
The things that we take for granted every day. I guess it's just kind of like you stop using your limb because you were injured for a while.
Well, and you couple that challenge with any form of mental health, need, and suddenly it's exasperated to a point where you can't overcome that on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're listening to Putting Pieces Back Together, and we're here with Culeen Shaffer from Fifth Street Ministries and leading their veteran housing program. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Putting the pieces back together. We'll be back with more of John Gallina and Brad Borders after these messages from 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
So, Colleen, while we're here in our break, I just want to kind of continue on that thread we were just on, talking about the challenges that veterans face reintegrating after they've been homeless. And so you've got a success story there from the shelter already. Can you share a little bit of that with us without giving away personal information for that veteran?
Unfortunately, I don't get to work one-on-one with the veterans.
Okay.
Because I do the development side. But I do know the person you're probably referring to, who I met on Veterans Day last year when we were at the VFW.
You know, oh man, you met somebody else pretty cool that day too.
The jury's still out on the coolness.
Wait a minute. You met Joe at the Veterans Day event?
Oh wow!
Oh, he's back here shaking his head. Yes, it was Joe. What a that's. I'm gonna tell you.
Way to throw
For
shade.
Joe, not for Devin.
We had a great time.
Man, see if I go back.
So it's
But he did
ahead.
tell me his story on how he ended up where he was, and he's just somebody that if he's led the right path, he's able to use all his energy to do, but just he fell a little and just went down, and he needed help getting transitioned.
So he ended up in the shelter itself.
Correct.
And then from the shelter, moved into the veteran transitional house on Wilson Lee.
Correct.
Spent about a year and a half there, and then moved into the first of the first two tiny houses. One of the first two tiny houses was set up.
We're probably talking about a different person now.
Okay.
But yes, I know which one you're talking about there. Yes.
And he recently has moved on to an apartment or
Correct.
rental
Yep.
situation where he's fully integrated back into the community now. But that's not the physical house is only a component. You guys at Fifth Street, and this is what I really wanted to dig down into with you. You're providing all those wraparound services, right? And so they are the getting them access to the VA benefits, right? Getting them access to that mental health and providing them that direct support and helping as a sort of a fiduciary, helping them learn how to manage their money and how to plan for the future and how to somewhat stabilize their life.
Exactly. And just letting them know they're not alone by introducing them to other veterans in the area too.
And in so many ways, helping them to know that the civilian population cares about them, respects them, and that they want to help and support too, right?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things I've noticed since being at Fifth Street is how much everyone comes around to support those veterans.
Yeah, I tell you, the crowd that was there this week for the ribbon cutting on these last four houses was amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Had to be over 100 people that were there.
That was a pretty impressive turnout for a local event. We're just talking about just Statesville. Statesville's not a very big town.
Yeah.
And the community support we have here, I mean, the mayor, the city council, 3 veterans
County
organizations were county commissioners. Yeah, there was several churches had folks
Business
there.
owners. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
That singer. Ooh.
Oh, that was actually probably the best rendition I've ever heard of the national anthem live. I was just amazed.
Yeah, it's funny. You're, like even talking here into the microphones, you kind of got to get up to the microphone. Well, everybody except for Devin. She did not need a microphone. Matter of fact, it was distorting her a little bit, so she just kind of pulled the microphone so far back. It was just crystal clear. She was amazing.
It was, yeah. We've got to get her name and number next time we have a singing.
Coincidentally, she used to be a shelter manager at Fifth Street Ministries.
Did she really?
Right?
Yes, she
Wow.
was. Yes. So she's helping Fifth Street with housing some people.
Fifth Street has such great ties to this community and doing such great work. And I know a lot of folks, I've heard over the years that, we don't need more shelter. We don't need, this, that, and the other. Fifth Street's reach and their impact is so much beyond Statesville. They're really leading the way in helping other communities know how to serve the veteran population and the homeless population as in a whole. We're going to pause right there, and we're going to go back live. Joe's giving me the...
Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Now, back to Putting the Pieces Back Together with your hosts, John Gallina and Brad Borders on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together with your host, John Gallina and Devil Dog Devin, and our amazing Air Force guest, Culeen Shaffer. I said it right?
Colleen.
Damn it!
It's okay. It's all right. My mom spelled it differently.
And FCC violation. Yeah.
You told me I couldn't cuss.
So,
Joe, we had about 2-year and 11-month run with no slip-ups, but there's Devin.
I'm trying to help you right now, but his mic is muted and I can still hear him.
oh man, that's this was my last episode, and what a great guest to have.
All right, so moving on.
I'm glad I could help you end your career.
Yeah,
That's
well,
right.
Look there, the ratings just dropped. All the listeners went away.
I'll take your place now.
So, putting the pieces back together with Culeen Shaffer, and I still said it wrong.
That's all right.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? So, your Fifth Street, you were drawn there by the Veterans Program, and so you said you're in development. What does that mean? I don't understand that word.
My job is essentially to build relationships with stakeholders of all sorts, the community, the donors, the foundations, other nonprofits, to financially support us or to provide in kind. So like for the tiny homes was to find organizations that wanted to furnish those homes by being a sponsor of them. That was probably the biggest in kind part of development I've done since I've been there for the last year.
So when you say furnish them, like they just come in, do they choose what's going to be in there, or?
They did. They got to shop wherever they want, figure out how they wanted to do it. They knew size restrictions of like the bed and things like that, and then they just went and for the youth actually fundraised to be able to furnish it.
Yeah, so I remember one of the churches, the Grace Covenant, and not sure of all of the different churches that sponsored, but there was several. There was lots of organizations that really stepped up, and a lot of folks. Purple Heart Homes gets a lot of credit, doing the manufacturing side of it, and certainly with our partners like Home Depot, they make that happen. But then it's like Ram Paving stepped up and provided all of the concrete work that you guys did for the driveway. That's a lot of concrete.
That was a lot of concrete.
Had to be about 40 to 50 yards of concrete, alone. Then you had somebody come in and did all the striping, right, for the handicap spots and the parking lot spots, right?
That was Ram Pavement also.
They did that too?
They did,
wow.
Yes.
Wow. And so it's a lot of people. And then who built the decks and the ramps? And was that Todd Ellis?
That was.
Yep. And then there's seemed like it was all the landscaping. It was the landscaping companies.
I actually found an Air Force veteran to do the landscaping.
No kidding.
And he brought in an EMT partner of his to do that.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful.
And if I remember right, somebody did a flagpole.
He will be once we put in for a grant to hopefully cover for that, and he's the one that's going to install that for free once it's purchased.
Oh, fantastic. That is really fantastic.
Although I did walk across the grass and you yelled at me like I was in boot camp.
Well,
I mean, it was
any good E8's going to do that, right?
I felt that first sergeant come out in her.
Yeah.
I was
Did
a
she
little
ask you where your
intimidated.
PT belt was at?
What's funny about that is
We called them glow belts.
Y'all also ate glow sticks too.
Yeah, well.
Notice he doesn't deny it. Did you notice that?
No,
How else are you going to see your pee in the dark?
Joe, I am so sorry, man. I promise we will have show notes for Devin to follow in the next show.
Write out his whole script.
You know what the worst part about it is? I make the show notes.
Yeah. All right, back to you, Colleen.
I don't even know where we were now. Something.
So we were talking about some of the challenges reintegrating, particularly reintegrating after experiencing homelessness and wraparound services and just the ability to be successful being dependent on so many other people, right? Just like with building the little veterans village there for Fifth Street. You know, it's not just Purple Heart Homes. It's not just Fifth Street Ministries. It's all of the community coming together to be able to make that happen. And the same is true for being able to provide the services to the veterans too, right? It's the mental health service providers. It's the medical. It's the dental. It's the benefits. It's all these different components. Do y'all do all that in-house, or how's that work?
They have a caseworker that puts them in touch with the right people. So if they've never seen the veteran service officer, they'll connect them with that. Especially if they've never even applied for disability because maybe they didn't know how to. And that's a big obstacle, is just not knowing where to go, how to do things, especially if they're not even originally from the area. So the veterans case manager links them up with those resources. Find some transportation to go to the VA for medical appointments as well. Just if they don't have any banking or whatever in this area, they'll help them figure out those types of things also. And just provide food too. You have the community kitchen where they can go to eat, but also at the hero's house and in the tiny homes, there's a kitchen. So maybe they never cooked before and they're able to learn in their own space on how to do that too.
Do they spend time teaching those life skills like cooking? And is that part of the program, or?
That's not part of the program, but that would be kind of cool if someone ever wanted, like, they wanted to learn for someone to come in. I do know that.
I know somebody that can volunteer for that.
I bet.
You know, honestly, I think that
Scott Emery just had the charcuterie boards made. So he got these little purple heartwood charcuterie boards that he had made and donated to each of for the tiny homes for each of the veterans.
Those things are beautiful.
They were beautiful, and in the process, those veterans probably need somebody to come teach them how to cut some meat and cheese and lay out some crackers and do that, Devin. I mean, they might have some guests, and that'd be good for you.
As soon as my employer gives me some time,
it might be penance for the 4-letter word that was dropped here.
Man, I thought that was in the past. Oh, wow.
Joe said no. Yeah.
Wow. So it goes back to what John was talking about, teaching them these life skills that they may have had or never had, and they just need a little bit of assistance with that. Doing that with the community and teaching them, like the VSO. We've got a wonderful VSO officer in this community, by the way, and if y'all aren't familiar, y'all need to go and check them out. They're doing great things over there. But I know that you don't get a lot of personal interaction with them, but when you do, what's that like for you?
It's just like any time around any other veteran, like you instantly feel like you're with family. Why I love to serve and take care of everyone. Like there's just knowing something that you have that connection, that we could be from different parts of the country, done different things, but you connect over the fact that you both serve, that you're part of that 1%. So just like the one person that is still in one of the original tiny homes, I saw him the other day, and it's just automatically like, how are you doing? He came up and he was excited to see that other veterans are going to get to do the same thing that he did with these 4 new homes.
That's wonderful. I mean, that really just shows the spirit of community, even amongst those folks that are in those programs. that's where we're going to put a pin in it. And you've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We're going to be right back after these commercial breaks.
Right back after some wall-to-wall counseling.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man, you brought the first sergeant, too.
More Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
He was a single dad and all that sort of stuff. So during the week at that time, I think I was on federal technician status. And I asked him to come up to the office. He thought he was in trouble because he was coming to see the first sergeant.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like, no, I just want to make sure you have everything you need and your daughter's taken care of before you leave.
Oh, that is... I was just talking to Lynn on the drive over here. Our listeners got to meet him last week. He's our new employee. But there's these certain things that induce instant anxiety in you. You know, if you get a text that says, "Hey, can we talk?" You know, you don't know what that's about without a little bit of context. Somebody says you're going to go see the first sergeant. Man, that's anxiety inducing. Well, what did I do?
I did make an airman cry once, supposedly, because she wasn't passing her PT test. And I was giving her advice and everything, and her supervisor said that I made her cry because I was after her. I'm like, yeah, I'm after her to pass so she can stay in.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes that's the kind of motivation they need.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I made Devin cry one time. Yeah. I told him we had to put the bourbon up.
I was worried.
Take away a wine maestro night, I bet he'd cry again.
Oh, man.
Like tonight's that night, and he can't go.
I'm a little upset that I had to fly out on a Thursday.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to interview a veteran first thing in the morning.
Who is that veteran?
That one's going to be...
Harold Rose?
No, that's Antonio Lewis.
Ah, okay.
Owens Corning helped him out with the roof with our assistants. They've been a great grant partner.
Yeah, they are. They just replaced the roof for Mr. Jones' house there in Duncanville.
No kidding.
That was a part of the makeover too, a brand new roof. Yeah.
They really have and by the way, we're gonna be having Abby on from Owens Corning soon because her boss said so. I haven't told her yet, but her boss said so.
She might know now.
We'll find out if she listened to the show.
Proud to be a part of the Purple Heart Homes team and putting the pieces back together Thursday afternoons at 3, Saturdays at 5, and Sunday mornings at 7 on WSIC.
Call now to speak with John Gallina and Brad Borders at 844-STUDIO-4. It's Putting the Pieces Back Together on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Joe, we might have to change that re-intro as we might start getting phone calls complaining about Devin's language. I have counseled him during the break, and he is repented and he's promised to be on his best behavior going forward.
You exiled me to an entire different state because of it.
I'm getting texts from the station owner now.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think I'm going to lose my job now.
I'll go to bat for you, Joe.
I appreciate that.
We probably should make you drop at least.
Oh, there's the first sergeant coming out.
Oh, jeez.
Just start pushing, Devin. Just start pushing. So let me make a few announcements here real quick. We told you a little bit about military makeover in the beginning of the show. Duncanville, Texas. Be sure to stay tuned there on Lifetime. And, of course, check out our social media where you can stay engaged with that project and learn more and see all the great stuff that's happening.
And if you're in that area, on Sunday, 3 p.m., they're doing the welcome home for the veteran. And come out there.
And this
celebrate
is not just any welcome home. This is the 40th season finale.
Absolutely.
And there'll be a big party afterwards to celebrate all those veterans and all those projects and all the supporters that have helped make it happen. Also, on October 5th, we've got Take That Hill, Purple Heart Homes annual cycling event. Thanks to our friend and fellow coworker, Brad Waters, had started back about 5 years ago. It's our fifth
Fifth one, yeah.
event here, and we're doing that at one of our favorite partners,
Oh,
Southern
yeah.
Distilling. And you can come out and join. There's still time to sign up for the race. There's 3 different legs of the race. Not everybody has to do the 80 miler. There's a 60 miler and a 30 miler that you can sign up for. 35. And not everyone goes to the top of Barrett Mountain, of course, but there's some beautiful landscape across Iredell County, northern Iredell County, that you can come be a part of that and support veterans. We also have room for a few more volunteers.
Yes,
so
sir.
if you would like to be a safety, a follow vehicle, and or potentially help with refreshment stands along the routes, we would appreciate your support there. Last year, if it were not for one of our volunteers, we could have really had a catastrophic event. One of our cyclists, our very own Fenway, had swallowed a bee.
Yeah, and he's allergic.
Yeah, allergic while he was riding, and the bee actually stung him. And fortunately, we had a veteran that was a volunteer that was nearby and rushed him back to the medical unit where they were able to give him an EpiPen shot and ultimately saved his life. And
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
volunteers are critical and important, so we please encourage you. We want as many out there with us as we can. And so if you've, whether it's 30 minutes that you've got that you can stop in and help with registration, or whether it's half the day that you can hang out with us and help us be a safety, we would appreciate you checking us out. There's one other component here to Take That Hill. We've got the Heroes Plaza.
Oh yeah, the Heroes Plaza is it's just a great way to honor those veterans that you want to remember, or those veterans that are still with us, and just to show that you really appreciate them taking that hill for our country. And so you can go to phhusa.org and just get a sign dedicated that will be put along the journey for Take That Hill for the veteran in your life. So please do that. It's a great way to support Purple Heart Homes and other veterans in our mission to help with critical housing repair. And you know, your veteran will be honored out there, and everybody's going to see that. And we just appreciate all those who've already signed up for that, and we'd love to see the entire journey, all 80 miles, with a sign for those veterans.
Yep, and we got a few minutes left here. Got one last question for Colleen. You know, being a veteran and now working with Fifth Street Ministries and serving veterans, particularly veterans that have been homeless, even though it might not be direct and providing them the counseling, but going out and helping raise money and support for those veterans. How has that made you feel personally? What has that done for you personally? I'm putting you on the spot. I know.
You are. It's rewarding to know that the skills I do behind the scenes are able to make the programs run. Why I don't get to see it firsthand because I'm not interacting with them as much as their case manager would. I know my work is important to make sure that they have a home, that they have the resources they need, and that they're on their path to permanent housing after their stay there.
That's really great. You know, I've shared over the years with folks, just for me personally, getting to see firsthand the veterans that we serve and realize that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that, you know, have it worse than us, right?
Absolutely.
And then being able to see the impact, it's encouraging, right? It minimalizes, you know, my own woes in life and helps me realize that, you know, no matter how bad it is, I can still help somebody else that's got it worse. So we're thankful to have you in our community, and certainly thankful for the partnership with Fifth Street Ministries, and just really proud of the work you all are doing right here in Statesville and Iredell County.
Thank you. And it definitely, the Veterans Housing Program wouldn't be possible either without Purple Heart Homes, without the community surrounding us. As we mentioned, PVAC, and just whether it's just sharing posts, whether it's donating, just all the support the community has done. That's how the veterans are able to move on.
So if a listener wants to get involved and support Fifth Street, how can they do that?
They can go to our website, which is www.fifthstreet.com. Fifth Street is spelled out. We do have a donation page there. You can also find contact information there if you want to volunteer. You can even choose to volunteer and hang out with the veterans over at Heroes House. There's Julie from PVAC goes over there occasionally with some Bojangles. One of our donors will go over there and cook a meal and just hang out. His father was a veteran. So you can help out in that way too, is just spend time with the veterans, which shows them that they are important.
You know, and what I've found over the years is so many people say, well, you know, my veteran wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't tell me about their service. You know, if you go spend time with them, if you'll sit with them, especially those older veterans, they want to talk. I think sometimes you just have to ask the right questions to get them started, you know. And some of those questions might be, you know, like, where did you serve? You know, what did you like about service? What did you do in the service? And it doesn't take long, and next thing you know, they're off and running and telling you all about the war, and next thing you know, all about coming home and what service really meant to them.
Absolutely. And everyone's got a story to tell. And sometimes it's not a war story. Sometimes what they want to tell you about is the good times they had. And if you really want to support a veteran, be willing to listen to all their stories, not just the ones that seem like they might be fantastical and full of action. Those stories where they were in a tent with their buddies are just as important to them as those other moments.
There I was with Devil Dog Devin in the radio station.
And that's when the first sergeant put him on his face. Said, push now.
All because he couldn't say her name right.
Just call me First Sergeant from now on.
I'm changing your name in my phone.
You know, there's a lot of great people out there that I know just want to have an impact and be able to help people and support people. You got a great organization here with Fifth Street Ministries that's doing some phenomenal work. PVAC is always looking for drivers, folks that would be willing to step into one of PVAC's vans, transport vans, and no special license required. Just have a little bit of time, a loving heart, and a willingness to take a veteran to a doctor's appointment. So you can sit with veterans, you can drive veterans, you can drop off food to the food bank there at Fifth Street to be able to provide support there as well. And of course, if you want to hammer some nails or be a safety for Purple Heart Homes, there's an opportunity there as well. And we just encourage you just to get involved, because when we get involved, we can truly change lives, and it takes a village. You can't all do it by yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, Culeen, it's been fantastic having you on the show with us today. Really look forward to hearing all the great things that are going to be happening there with Fifth Street. We thank you and Michelle and all the rest of the team for the heart and work that goes into caring for our homeless veteran population.
Thank you for having me on here, and let me tell you a little bit more about what we do and how we serve our veterans.
Yeah, and too, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And I know who to call now to put Devin in his place.
Anytime.
I will put you on speed dial. Come on, Top. Devin needs some counseling.
Oh my gosh, that's the last thing.
All right, take us home, Devin.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We are a 501c3, and we couldn't do it without your support. If you want to learn more about about Purple Heart Homes and our mission, go to phhusa.org. We'd love to have you. There's lots of volunteer opportunities, and hey, we'll see you next week.
I'm going to go see about bailing out Brad.
Oh, man, yeah, it's who knows?
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, brought to you by Purple Heart Homes. Please consider making a donation to this worthwhile cause dedicated to improving the lives of veterans one home at a time by visiting purplehearthomesusa.org. Join us again next Thursday at 3 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC News Talk Now.
Serving you better than ever before. WSIC, Statesville, W290DK Mooresville, W2